Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Good morning, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network, featured on the Roar 93.5 FM, 99.1 FM, and 94.7 HD2. Happy to have you with us right here on a Thursday. There's Thursday night football tonight, so always, thank you, Fish. Always good things to look forward to when there's football on the TV. I'm pumped, so you guys should be too. Listen, the guys are here. We had quite the day on social media last night. Jeff, how are you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling great. I think the right question would be, how are you feeling, Adam? That's the right question.
I'm good. It was a long. It wasn't a long night. It was a long day.
Yeah.
I mean, it was intense. It was kind of fun.
You
were killing it on Twitter.
I absolutely love Adam because he's so genuine. Like, when people are hating at him, he just responds like, "Okay, if that's what you think." Like, I love it. He does never respond with hate back to anybody.
To be fair, all right, let's just like take the hat, whatever the rabbit out of the hat or the cat out of the bag, whatever the saying is.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, I'm not sitting up here lying to you.
No.
I'm just telling you what I think.
Yesterday was a little
I can
intense.
disagree. If you think it's 40 degrees out, I may think it's 38. We can have disagreements on anything. But, if people can't accept, somebody having a different point of view or asking different questions, well,
it's ridiculous.
It's soft.
Yeah.
They can get over it. I'm not worried.
All right.
But fun fact, I
What?
woke up and there was like 130 unread mentions, and I was just, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing
early
this.
for this. It's too early.
I would legitimately start crying. I woke up and I had like 20 notifications all about like, hey, Kennedy, tomorrow you should punch Adam in the face. And I was like...
You know how many threats I got yesterday? I can count how many threats I got on my on both my hands easily.
might need your feet, too.
That is absolutely ridiculous. Like,
No,
I was
it's
here.
fun.
I was here yesterday
sorry,
yelling.
I love it.
I was yelling at this man. All right, trust me, I understand how people feel. I was yelling at this man. Now we're good today. That's just how it works. You
It's just
disagree.
how it is, but,
Yeah, it is what
I
it is.
was frustrated for you yesterday, Jeff.
Yeah.
All right, well, there's someone that's probably frustrated, and his name is probably Jalen Green. He is 20 spaces below our guy, Cade Cunningham. So Cade was ranked 76th, and Jalen Green was ranked 96th. So do you guys agree that Cade should be 20 spots ahead of Jalen Green?
I will say this: it makes me happy that ESPN is showing love to Detroit. Obviously, we got a Detroit rookie, #1 overall pick, ranked 76 among like some veterans. John Wall, there's other guys in there. I think Victor Oladipo, a lot of guys that he's ranked above. But so happy of that. Usually Detroit players get disrespected. He probably should have been 100 something just because he plays in Detroit. But nonetheless, yes, I'm not shocked. He's ranked higher than Jalen Green. He's a better prospect overall than Jalen Green, just because he could do more on the floor. I mean, if you look at in terms of playmaking, Cade checks the boxes. If you look at the defensive side of the ball, Cade checks those boxes as well. But in terms of shooting, this is Jalen Green's go-to stat. He's a scorer. Well, Jalen Green shot 52% from three in summer league. Cade shot 50. So I mean, we're arguing nothing at this point. I don't agree. I don't disagree. Cade is more versatile. He can play different positions. He play 1, 2, or the 3. Jalen's pretty much a 2 guard. It's where he's going to stay. But it is a little surprising to me that rookies are this far apart. None of them has touched the NBA floor yet. But obviously, they've said. I mean, you have countless scouts calling Cade, one of the best prospects in a while. So the fact that he's 76, I'm not necessarily surprised. I mean. Cade's proved it so far in Summer League as well. Jalen played pretty well, but I don't have a problem with these rankings. Obviously, they might be showing Cade some love, but they're bound to change once the regular season comes and players start, getting acclimated to their teams and whatever numbers they put up. This is bound to change. But as of right now, 76, got no problem with it. Jalen Green could care less. If he was 80, 85, I don't care. But the fact that Cade Cunningham 76, it's good news. It's good news for Detroit fans, and hopefully he tends to climb this list every single year. He just gets better and better. That's the goal. So, no, I don't have a problem with it at all.
I do. No, seriously, I do.
No, yeah,
Jalen Green is the #2 overall pick.
Yep.
Cade is the 1. 20 spot difference. You're talking for the #1 overall pick to the number 10 overall pick, let's say. That would be justified. How DeJounte Murray, Caris LeVert, and Terry Rozier are not above Cade Cunningham. And keep in mind, I think everybody in the city of Detroit is in love with Cade Cunningham right now. But he's better than those 3 players. Even Lauri Markkanen to an extent. He's already better. It's too much. ESPN's way too flattering with this list. He shouldn't be 76th. If Jalen Green is, 96?
Yep.
If Jalen Green is 96, I'm okay with you putting Cade Cunningham at 90. He should be in the same percentile as Jalen Green. They're both rookies. They were drafted first and second overall. End of story. Jeff, tell me more, but I totally disagree with this. Like, he's not 20 spots better already than Jalen Green. Jalen Green actually was the most raw, sought-after prospect coming into the draft. Cade was probably more complete. He went to college. Jalen went to the G League. I'm not following how there's a 20-spot difference. Again, ESPN, they don't do anything right, but this one definitely isn't one of them.
I see the point. With 20 spots is a lot, especially for 2 guys that either of them have touched the floor yet. So that I get what you're saying, but one thing I will say, he should be ranked higher. We both agree there. I think 90 is a fair spot. 85, anywhere in the 80s, but yeah, 75. He's ranked above, or 76. He's ranked above John Wall. And I know John Wall is nothing. He's nothing good, but he's been in the league for 6-7 years. He's been pretty consistent. So it is weird, but this just shows that ESPN. Obviously has a projected career path for Cade. They think year 1 he's going to be great. I don't know.
See it that way because if we're being honest, look at Cade Cunningham's situation and look at Jalen Green. Keep in mind, the Houston Rockets are interested in entertaining the offers for John Wall right now. They're trying to get rid of him. Why? They want Jalen Green to be the absolute ball-dominant player on their team. They just do. Which means, statistically, he's going to look a lot better then Cade Cunningham will look year 1. And that's just not, it's not hate, that's just reality. He's playing on a worse team, Detroit under Dwayne Casey. Dwayne Casey's going to teach Cade how to play the game the right way. Cade kind of already has that game already internally. He's more, I don't want to say like a pass-first guy, but he's a willing passer. He's a willing leader, a vocal leader. He's not somebody that's going to jack up 20, 24 shots a game his rookie year, something I think Jalen Green is likely to do. So the 20-spot difference for me is actually very dumb. I don't see how it's even logical. I don't know how you could make the argument for it. And then, more importantly, I think Jalen Green, his rookie season will look better than Cade. That's just a given if you just look at numbers. I think Cade will have more impact on the court, especially when it comes to winning. I don't think this Detroit Pistons team is going to be an 18-win team like I think the Rockets will be. I think the Pistons are going to shoot for about 28 to 32 wins. Now, you can't win Rookie of the Year averaging 15 points, 4 rebounds, let's say, and 4 assists, or 5 and 5, whatever it may be, because it's not going to be overwhelmingly spectacular. It's boring. But you know what? Cade's boring is way better than Jalen Green's excitement. But that's not what wins awards, but it's not 20 spots higher. I don't know, Jeff. Tell me.
I disagree about your point of the Rookie of the Year because it is different. Like, you can have a guy in Jalen Green who could average 19 to 20 points a game. If Cade averages 16, 4, and 5, whatever the case may be, and the Detroit Pistons are maybe around the same record as the Houston Rockets, I don't know. It's a close race. He like I said, he plays both sides of the ball. If he has better defensive stats and he's passing the ball, he's rebounding better, he's got an argument. So Jalen Green, as great as a prospect as he is, very raw, I see him developing into a talented scorer in this league. But one thing you got to get for sure about Jalen Green is hopefully his field goal percentage. He's going to shoot the ball a lot. I know Cade. I think Cade's a more efficient player. Don't sleep on Cade's ability to shoot the ball. He shot 50% in Summer League. Even going back to Oklahoma, shot 40% from 3. So the guy can shoot. So I'm just letting the season play out. 20 spots is a little ridiculous considering both of them have not played an NBA game. Only Summer League, not even preseason yet. But the point of Cade being ranked over Jalen Green, don't have a problem with it. 20 spots, to your point.
Okay, so
ridiculous.
We're on the same page then. Yeah, he should be ranked over him. He was the number 1 overall pick. The other was the number 2. It should be by a few spots. Maybe I think 90 is a more fair spot for Cade. But listen, if ESPN wants to put him in the top 76, that's their problem. He's a rookie. He hasn't played a minute of basketball professionally yet. We'll see. It's an exciting time for the city of Detroit, though.
Oh, yes.
You have the number 1 overall pick. You have pieces in a Sadiq Bey. You have pieces in a Jeremy Grant, Isaiah Stewart. And now you want to see Killian Hayes blossom ideally year 2. You have a Luka Garza who shined in the Summer League. You have Saban Lee. again, and you have the perfect coach to develop them. Dwayne Casey is absolutely perfect for this job. Now, is he perfect for the project that takes his team into contenders? That's kind of a wait and see, but I also kind of think he can, because he proved in Toronto he can win 50, 55,
Coach of the
almost
year.
60 games.
Do things like
Coach
that.
of the year accolades, number 1 seeds, Eastern Conference Finals appearances. Couldn't get over the hump, but he was going through LeBron James. I kind of don't blame him.
Yeah.
Just like I don't blame Barkley for not beating Jordan. So when you go against one of the greats, well, it's going to take a ton of effort to beat him. So that's where I leave that. Jeff, do you have anything more to add?
No, more so my problem is I don't have a problem with him being ranked 76. It's more so the veterans he's ranked above him that have played in this league for multiple years. I mean, Lauri Markkanen was behind him. There's other guys that have played NBA basketball that have played well. So that's what surprises me. But you know what? Might see Cade a little higher on this list come next year. So that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, all we can ask for is improvement, right, guys? And him being better than Jalen Green, because ew. Next, we're going to talk about Jared Goff, who is also being ranked right now. So we'll see if you guys agree with that ranking when we come back. But before we go, we need to hear about our friends over at Northwestern Tech.
Listen, do you know anybody that needs a career that will provide you with a $70,000 salary once you leave Northwestern Tech? Because you could start a whole new career in an industry that is always essential, the heating and cooling industry. You can learn more today by visiting northwesterntech.edu.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. And at Hall Financial, we treat our clients like family. And our number one priority is giving each of our clients 5-star service. Our passion for 5-star service, combined with our expertise, allows us to find the best possible solution for refinancing your home loan. We take the time to focus on both the individual and the numbers. We're going to walk you through the process and close your loan in half the time of our competition. Go to davidhallmortgage.com today.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. Happy to have you here. It is Thursday. Jenna called it Friday Eve, which I love, and I love my girl Jenna in general in the chat. She's always got our back. All right, so Jared Goff was ranked 27th in the NFL QB index rating, so I want you guys to tell me, do you have a problem with that? And can you think of 26 other quarterbacks that are better than Jared Goff, Adam?
I don't have a problem with it. So, are there 26 quarterbacks better than Jared Goff in a vacuum? Probably not. But right now, he's ranked 27th for a reason. The turnovers. His QBR is almost at an all-time low right now. You look at his completion percentage, you look at the yards he's accumulated, you'd be like, wow, this guy's playing really good. And then you go kind of watch the game, and you look at essential downs. How is he converting on third down? How's the team doing on a third and long situation? A third and short, second and median? What are we doing? And QBR kind of tells that story, and he's sub 45, I believe, right now. That's not ideal for your quarterback. To answer the question, do I think there's 26 quarterbacks better than Jared Goff? I don't. I think he's around 15 to 22. And maybe I'm being generous on 15, but that's me taking into account his past. He has proven that he can be a dynamic quarterback in the sense that he's got the arm talent. But unfortunately for Jared Goff, his last 3 seasons, he's been more known for his turnovers, which he's shown you a bunch of early on. He's been more known for his turnovers than he has for his on-field play. And that's just the reality of the situation. And whether or not he's being unfairly criticized or judged for it, considering he's not surrounded with weapons that you can really, look at him and say, okay, that's our guy. But you kind of knew, or at least I believed, you knew going in that Jared Goff wasn't the guy moving forward. And if you already believe that, these first 2 games aren't going to change my mind whether they're good or bad. I already made up my decision on Goff. What happens in the future, we'll see. But for now, I think 27th is fair. Do I think there are 26 quarterbacks? I'd have to really debate hard on it, but I don't think so.
I don't think it's fair because I looked at the list, and we can agree that Jared Goff isn't playing spectacular, but I will give you this. Let me just read off the number 18th ranked quarterback stats, and I just want to read this off. The same exact record as the Detroit Lions. 464 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions. No rush, barely any rushing yards, and 1 fumble. All right, that's 18th ranked quarterback. Jared Goff is 26th. He has almost 600 yards, more yards per attempt than this quarterback, 5 touchdowns and less interceptions, more rushing yards and the same amount of fumbles. And they're both the same exact record.
Yeah, I don't like that, but
I can name 2 other ones.
There's more. It's a fair point.
Yeah.
The problem is the quarterback you're talking about is Matt Ryan.
Yes.
And unfortunately, in majority of national media, people are still clinging on to MVP Matt Ryan
that was my
with
point.
Kyle Shanahan. So I agree with you, but it's not surprising to me, at least. I'm not surprised by it. But let's go through the quarterbacks that are ranked above him. And you tell me if you prefer this quarterback over Jared Goff. Let's do that.
Hold on. Let me make this point real quick because I was going to say
Go
that
ahead.
Jalen Hurts ranked in front of him, don't have a problem with. Mac Jones, don't have a problem with. There's 2 or 3 guys that I have a problem with.
I'm curious to hear. So Jalen Hurts, he's
fine.
happy with that.
Sam Darnold, I'm fine.
Okay, Sam Darnold, cool. Mac Jones, you're
Fine.
okay with.
Yeah.
All right, Joe Burrow.
I'm fine.
Okay, very good. Jameis Winston.
Fine. He had a better game 1. He had a great game 1.
Okay, I don't agree. I don't think Jameis Winston is a better quarterback than Jared Goff.
They're saying now, right? Just how they're
playing.
playing.
But even now or prior, it doesn't make sense. Jared Goff has more of a proven track record of being a more consistent quarterback. Granted, they're both very turnover prone. I would take Jared Goff over Jameis Winston any day of the week. Carson Wentz, I vocalized essentially my disgust with Carson Wentz. I've been trying to defend this kid for the longest time, and I'm getting very tired of it. His inability to be on the field down 27-24 against the Rams, the opportunity to get the ball back, take your team down, either get 7 or tie the game, and he's on the sideline fully suited. Why isn't he in the locker room if he's hurt? I'm taking Jared Goff over Carson Wentz. Jimmy G, this version of Jimmy Garoppolo, again, he's in a great situation. Mm-hmm. So I got to take Jimmy Garoppolo. I have to. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, Big Ben, I'm taking Goff over Big Ben. I hate Big Ben. He's a bum.
That was my next point.
He is a bum.
Read his stats.
He's been past it.
Yeah.
Please, Ben, retire. Because I remember you for your first 13 or 14 years. My goodness, what a quarterback you were. But my friend, you are well past it. Please, do yourself a favor and retire. Should I move on?
Yes.
Or would you like to add anything, Jeff?
No,
Okay.
you're hitting it right on the
Okay,
head.
Matt Ryan. Totally overvalued here.
Yeah, he's a shell.
Totally overvalued. Would I prefer one over the other? Actually, no. I don't care for either, actually. If I had to pick one or the other, I would rather go into a game without a quarterback right now. Matt Ryan, towards the tail end of his career, he's surrounded by a ton of weapons. The O-line, sketchy. And to be honest, it's a new offensive scheme for him. It's a new head coach who's very offensive-minded driven. So maybe they need time. I'm not sure, but I could care less. I don't want Matt Ryan or Jared Goff. Tyrod Taylor, this is actually hilarious. This is where you feel bad for people and you rank them higher than they should be. He won his first game. He gets injured in his second game, something all he knows how to do in his career, which is why he's never been a stable quarterback throughout his career and a starter, is he can't stay on the field. And he is 17 over Joe Burrow. Sam Darnold? Are you kidding me? Over Jimmy Garoppolo to an extent? 17 Tyrod Taylor. No. I would take Jared Goff over Tyrod Taylor any day of the week. I would. Moving on. Daniel Jones. Dave Gettleman should be fired for drafting Daniel Jones. And he is 16th on this list because he makes a few good runs a game? Are we serious right now? What's going on here? Agree? Jared Goff or Daniel Jones? I want to rip my hair out having to even decide between the two, but I'm probably taking Jared Goff. Mm-hmm. Moving on. Teddy Bridgewater. I got to say, Teddy Bridgewater, I got to give him credit. He's playing very well right now. I'm happy for him. Broncos are 2-0. It's a playoff roster. He's done a good job of not forcing any turnovers. He's doing his job, a game manager type quarterback similar to Jared Goff. So right now, it's not who I'd rather take, but he deserves to be over Jared Goff given the first 2 games of the year. And then everybody after...
Get to 11.
Get to
Ryan
11?
Tannehill.
All right, so we got Baker Mayfield. Well, let me get there. Baker Mayfield... Again, I want to pull my hair out having to decide between the two. I don't think I can win anything significant with either. But regardless, Baker plays for the Browns. They're 1-1 now. They have the best O-line, best run game.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do about that. Kirk Cousins has been balling out.
Yep.
Unfortunately for him, his defense is absolutely atrocious and has given up, the third or fourth most points in the league so far.
And shootouts.
So he's doing his job. He's not committing many turnovers, which is something Kirk Cousins is known for. But don't worry, Vikings fans. Give him 3 weeks. It'll start happening. And number 12. 12 is Matthew Stafford. That makes no sense for me. He should be in the top
Higher,
8.
yeah.
I don't understand that. Ryan Tannehill over Matthew Stafford. What are we doing? NFL and quarterback index. What are we doing? Matthew Stafford is 12 on this list, and Ryan Tannehill is 11, and he played probably the worst game of his Tennessee Titan career week 1. And he bounced back. He did bounce back. But keep in mind, Derrick Henry kind of ran all over the field, accounted for 4 touchdowns.
Yes, yeah.
And Ryan Tannehill now is on a top 11
He attempted
quarterback.
12 passes last game.
Unbelievable.
He didn't have to.
So Stafford should not be here. Josh Allen at 10. Bravo. Bravo. You wanted clicks? You're definitely getting them here. Okay, but let's go back. Would you take Stafford over Jared Goff?
Oh,
You
of
would.
course, yeah.
Ryan Tannehill, again, I think they're the same quarterback.
You
I
get
don't
him in a
think
good
I'm winning
system.
anything significant
Yeah.
with either, so I pass. Josh Allen, of course I'm taking Josh Allen. Of course I'm taking Derek Carr. Of course I'm taking Dak. Of course I'm taking Kyler Murray. Of course I'm taking Herbert.
rest
now
of
we're
it.
getting into the upper echelon of quarterbacks right now, so it's not even a debate here, but you get where I'm going with this. Are there really 26 quarterbacks better? No, there's probably 22 or 21 or 20. He's in the 18 to 24 range, if you want to rank him.
I agree with you.
18 being you're very generous. You're being very generous by giving him 18. And 24, you're being a little harsh, but he kind of deserves it because of his play. And then anywhere in between, we're probably going to agree, me and you. Keep in mind, Jared Goff has a lot going against him right now, especially narrative-wise, right? He was traded away along with first 2 round picks for his replacement, which was Matthew Stafford. Let's just step back a little bit. How good does that look? Like, we are so sick and tired of you that we are willing to get rid of you and our 2 future first-round picks because we don't think you're it anymore. We just don't. You were it the first 3 years. You looked so good. You went toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes on Monday Night Football. And you dropped almost, 50? It was 50 to 45, something like that. You were that in your first 2 years, actually, with Sean McVay. And what happened? Where did this cliff show up where you just fell off of it? And you just became this turnover machine. You had no confidence. Where did this happen with Jared Goff? I believe it was away to San Francisco when they lost to Nick Mullins. And Sean McVay went back in the room like, my defense held them to 17 points, and we couldn't beat them because my quarterback threw 4 interceptions. That's the day Sean McVay gave up on Jared Goff, in my opinion. And now you look at Jared Goff, again, a lot of things are working against him. He doesn't have the best roster around him, and it's not fair for me or anybody to really judge him with the talent he has. I've been up here saying how horrible the wide receiving core is. But I expect my quarterback to be responsible, and the checkdowns are responsible. Throwing to the tight end, responsible. I don't really have a problem with that. But when you want to tell me he's so gifted, he's so great, that's when you lose me. He's 0-9 in his career with Sean McVay not being his head coach. 0-7 from the Jeff Fisher to their interim head coach. From week 10 to week 17 his rookie year, he was 0-7. And of course, he's lost his first 2 games with Dan Campbell, but I'm not even going to judge him on his win-loss column this year in Detroit. It's really next year for Jared Goff to really solidify if he is going to be the quarterback of the future. I don't think he is, but that's on him to prove next year. We'll see what happens. But, Jeff, your thoughts. I don't think there's 26 quarterbacks better than him. I think there's 20, 21. Where's your number right now?
I think 18. Matt Ryan's at 18. I think 18 to 24 is a good number. I think somewhere in that echelon. I mean, if you look at Jared Goff's numbers, absolutely overachieving in my book, considering the talent he has on the Detroit Lions from the wide receiver core. He has T.J. Hockenson. That's pretty much it. He has a good offensive line, but he has what? He's throwing 70% completion percentage, almost 600 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. If this guy had 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, I mean, I think anybody would understand. Like this team has no talent, and we already questioned Jared Goff's ability to play the quarterback position. So the fact that he's actually playing not bad, you got to reward him. I mean, the fact that he's 26 is a little absurd. It's completely absurd. I think it has to do more of the franchise he's a part of than the actual play of Jared Goff. Because, I mean, these numbers are comparable to be up there around 20. So I agree with you. 18 to 24 is my sweet spot for Jared Goff. Hasn't been playing spectacular, but he hasn't been playing the bottom of the league. I mean, he's just in front of Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence, who have been interception machines. So, no, he shouldn't be ranked that low, but it is what it is. A lot of these lists don't make sense. I mean, PFF ranked DeAndre Swift in the 30s for running back. So these lists just are whatever to me.
Look, again, so Jared Goff, he's kind of not in the best situation. We do have to head to break, but before we do, I want to make a point. One more point.
Okay.
Jared Goff, yes, he isn't working with ideal talent, ideal wide receivers, but he does have 2 dynamic running backs. And Anthony Lynn has already proven he's willing to put them in motion, get them on screenplays, put TJ Hawkinson in motion. It's there. It is there to be somewhat proficient. It's the interceptions and the fumbles, Jared, that will cost you your future in Detroit. Kennedy?
All right, guys. Well, we got to head to break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about who are these guys' Heisman frontrunners. I know who mine would be, but I want to hear it from these guys first. Stick around for that. But before we go, we got to hear about our friends over at MyBookie.
All right, guys. You know what time it is. It's time to win some money. And the way you win some money is by going to mybookie.com and signing up using code Woodward. They're not matching 50% anymore. No. They're matching dollar for dollar. You put in 100, you're getting 100. You put in 200, you're getting 200, guys. Take advantage of this 1-for-1 deal. Bet from anywhere, anytime using MyBookie. We've got Thursday Night Football. You've got college football on Saturday. We've got the Lions playing the Ravens on Sunday. Lots to bet on, lots of money to be won. Visit mybookie.com. Again, use code Woodward when you sign up. They'll match every single dollar you put in.
Welcome to the Call Sam Chopper Shop, where you can win a custom-built chopper while helping our veterans at the same time.
Watch as the Bad Pig Custom team turns this bike into a one-of-a-kind classic chopper.
And when it's finished, we'll be donating the bike to Volunteers of America Michigan to raffle off in support of our vets.
A great cause to give back to those who've given so much.
Watch for Call Sam Chopper Shop episodes on our social media channels and get your raffle ticket today at callsam.com/Chopper Shop.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. Happy to have you here. It's yucky outside, but it's Thursday. It's Friday Eve, like our girl Jenna said. Yeah, weather, not good, but football tonight is good. So here we go. But before we get into these guys' Heisman winners, I want to ask you something, Adam. For our new listener, Jonah, he wants to know who he is a big fan of you right now, by the way. So
all right, cool.
Be careful. He wants to know, okay, is it fair to say that in the minimum standard for the Rams to be the winners of the Stafford and Goff trade, would Stafford have to win a Super Bowl for us? Okay.
No.
Here we
to
go.
answer that question, no. Stafford needs to get to 2 NFC Championship games. Is probably the likely scenario.
Okay.
He needs to win a few playoff games. He needs to get to the championship game. I think if they're in a position to go to the Super Bowl in the next 2 seasons, I think they do. They're just too talented of a roster. Sean McVay is too good of a head coach. Matthew Stafford is a very good quarterback. And I think when you pair a very good quarterback with an elite head coach, an elite defense, an elite organization, he, by natural circumstances, will become elite, in my opinion. But keep in mind, the Lions won this deal. Don't forget that. The Lions secured 2 first-round picks for the next 2 drafts. They are going to add 4 first-round talents to their roster over the next 2 drafts. They just are. And for Matthew Stafford to be considered a success, or for the Rams will not feel vindicated unless they get back to a championship game. When they get back to a championship game with Matthew Stafford, they will take a step back and say, all right, we put ourselves in the position that we felt we couldn't get to with Jared Goff. They won the trade. But the Lions also won the trade. They secured draft capital. Imagine trading a quarterback away with that salary cap. They absorbed Jared Goff's salary. And they got 2 first-round picks for it. It's a great deal. So, to answer that question, I think both teams won the trade. The Rams are much happier 2 weeks in, and the Lions, long-term, are much happier as well. So I think both teams won the trade. It was a great trade.
It was, yeah.
So I don't think the only way there's like a lopsided winner is if the Rams win a Super Bowl. That's the only way. If the Rams win a Super Bowl, you really need to look yourselves in the mirror, Detroit, and I'm not saying the fans, I'm talking the organization. If Matthew Stafford delivers a Super Bowl in Los Angeles, you got to take a hard look in the mirror and be like, They figured it out in less than 2 years. We had 12 years and we couldn't figure it out. And that is going to be a tough pill to swallow. Whether or not he wins it remains to be seen. But I think both sides won the deal.
Okay, I like it. I think that's fair. All right, sorry to get us off topic. We're talking Heisman front runners. People are already talking about in the chat who's going to be our quarterback here in Detroit, things like that. But I want to know, who has your early Heisman vote, Jeff?
Well, it's between, really, as of right now, who's playing the best. It's Matt Corral and Bryce Young, in my opinion. Spencer Rattler has been playing well. He had the interception against Tulane. Kenneth Walker, as much as I love Kenneth Walker, and he's been playing amazing for the Michigan State Spartans, I think Peyton Thorne has displayed great quarterback play. I think that would eliminate some of the credit of Kenneth Walker, even though he's been putting out monster numbers. But my God, Matt Corral is displaying a tremendous quarterback play for Ole Miss. He's 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions thus far. He's 3-0. I think Ole Miss is leading college football entirely in yards, and that's thanks to number 2, Matt Corral. So anytime a quarterback, but on the flip side, anytime a quarterback at Alabama is playing good football, and Bryce Young, it's tough. I mean, Bryce Young has 10 touchdowns, 1 more touchdown than Matt, no interceptions, no turnovers. And similar to Corral, he's right behind him in passing yards. I mean, Alabama's contending pretty much for a natty every single year. And it's going to bring the spotlight, it's going to bring the storylines all to Bryce Young. And yes, they have a stacked roster. I think that's what's going to help Matt Corral. So if Matt Corral can keep up this play and lead Ole Miss to things that were unforeseen this year, and just he puts up amazing numbers, I think Matt Corral is a good chance. But my God, if you're playing that well for Alabama, I don't know. I don't know how you can't give it to Bryce Young, especially the market he's in. Alabama's going to play later than Ole Miss. They're going to just play in bigger games. So, you know what? My heart's telling me Bryce Young, but I like Matt Corral. I'll go with Bryce Young.
Matt Corral wins the Heisman this Saturday if he beats Alabama.
Oh, well, yes.
He secures the Heisman if he can go and beat Alabama this weekend.
And I agree with you on that.
And he's playing that good. We saw Johnny Manziel do it when he was Johnny Football. He led Texas A&M to a shocking win his Heisman year. Matt Corral can do the same. I don't see an issue with it. There's a lot of rumbling going on about, Spencer Rattler. Which quarterback do you draft? If I don't like any of these quarterbacks right now. The only one I would consider so far is JT Daniels. JT Daniels right now has been the only prospect that I've seen that has kind of given me. He jumps off the screen and he's consistent. He's not moronic with his decision making, and that's a big deal. Spencer Rattler has looked shaky against the easiest part of his schedule. Sam Howell, expectations on North Carolina, they come in number 10th ranked into the season, and his first game he throws a dud and they lose, and it's embarrassing. He bounces back, of course, but I don't think there's a quarterback worthy of going all in on this year just yet. We're, 3 games into the college football season. It is still early. I could definitely change my mind later on. Right now, JT Daniels is the one that stood out the most for me. You have to pass on a quarterback if you're the Detroit Lions right now. You've got to address it in the 2023 draft. I think what you do for the 2022 draft is you go for a Thibodeau. You go for a stud defensive player, a Kyle Hamilton, something that's going to improve your defense. And you can go 2 defensive players in the first round with your 2 picks. I have no issue with it. We've seen the Detroit Lions are void of talent on defense. They are completely void of it. Now, you want to get Jared Goff a wide receiver. Is that done through free agency? Is it done in the 2nd or 3rd round? We've seen Michael Thomas be a 2nd-round pick from Ohio State. We've seen guys come into the league a 3rd, 4th, 5th-round pick at wide receiver and become studs. So it's doable. It's a tough ask just in 1 year from your front office, but they got to do it. If you're trying to build a contending team within a 3-year timeline, you need to start hitting, and you need to not just hit on the first-round picks. You hit on Penei Sewell. Amon-Ra St. Brown needs to hit. Derek Barnes needs to hit. That's how you win Super Bowls. That's how you become a contending team, by hitting your second-day draft picks. That's how you do it. So right now, my Heisman favorite, it's got to be Matt Corral. If he shows up and beats Bama this weekend, you can book it. You can book it. I don't care if they lose a game throughout the year. You book it. He's the Heisman winner if he balls out on Saturday. there's obviously a discussion going around our building, at least. Kenneth Walker, Blake Corum. Blake Corum should not be in the Heisman race. Can we just say that right now? I'm not entertaining it. Jeff, you can kind of give me your thoughts on Blake Corum and Kenneth Walker in a bit, but Blake Corum is not in the Heisman running at all. He's not even in the top 15, not even the top 20, not even the top 50 for all I care. Hassan Haskins deserves just as much.
Donovan Edwards playing well.
They are all playing well. The offensive line is so phenomenal. But there's a big difference between what Blake Corum is doing and Kenneth Walker is doing. And if you can't humble yourself just a little bit to accept that this kid is a transfer student from Wake Forest, shows up to state, runs all over Northwestern, they hold him back against Youngstown State, and then he runs all over Miami. That's impressive. That's a Heisman candidate to me. Do I think he's in the top 5 right now? No. I think he's a top 10 Heisman potential winner. I don't think he's in the front. He's a front runner right now. I just don't. It's so difficult to be the front runner this early on as a running back, especially when you weren't considered one. So you kind of have to go through your media pains. People need to start watching you. You need to start getting national attention. And the only way State are going to do that is if Kenneth Walker continues to run all over teams, and if Michigan State continues to win. I think he's in the top 10 conversation. If State shows up to East Lansing against Ann Arbor and they're undefeated, he's still running all over teams, I think by then he'd be considered legitimately in the Heisman race. Jeff, your thoughts?
Yeah, Kenneth Walker, definitely. I think Blake Corum, as well as he's playing, that three-headed monster in the backfield eliminates his chances, essentially. I think Kenneth Walker, him being the focal point of that backfield, and like you said, ran over Northwestern, held them back against Youngstown State, and then just ran all over Miami. If he can keep this up, and I like your point, I was going to make this point, if he keeps this up all the way until the Ann Arbor, and when Michigan comes to Michigan State, and he runs all over Michigan, you know what? Put him in that conversation. Right now he is, but it's hard because Peyton Thorne hasn't really made too many mistakes to, he's playing well. It almost takes away the credit of Kenneth Walker. It's just how the business is. But overall, I like your Matt Corral pick. I mean, you're not crazy. It's going to be between Bryce Young or Matt Corral.
You're going to find out this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend.
You're going to find out who the Heisman front runner is.
Yes.
It's either Bryce Young or Matt Corral.
Because they're neck and neck with stats and everything.
100%. But again, if Bryce Young wins and Alabama wins, I don't think his stock jumps this much. I think it just goes from here to here. Only a little stock up on his Heisman chances. Matt Corral and Ole Miss pull off the upset. Matt Corral goes from right here through the ceiling.
Clear favorite if he beats Alabama.
You have to wait 2 weeks for the Heisman frontrunner discussion. They play Southern Miss this weekend. Bama does.
Oh, they don't
Sorry,
play Ole Miss?
Bessie.
Whoops.
Yeah, no.
Oh.
Regardless, when they play.
2 weeks, 1 week, who cares?
Are we sure?
Yes, I just looked it up.
Regardless, when they play, like Adam said, it's going to be in a very important matchup. If you want to see who's winning the Heisman Trophy, you look at that game. Matt Corral, Bryce Young, yes. If Alabama wins and Bryce Young doesn't play necessarily great and Matt Corral has a monster game, he's still in that conversation. So it's a good point. I want to
address Mike in the chat. Adam, have you watched Corum run? Corum will outgain Walker in all-purpose yards when it's all said and done. That's great. Again, if I put Kenneth Walker in Michigan's run game, how many yards do you think he's probably getting a game? The same, if not more. This is a different discussion. I'm not saying Blake Corum isn't phenomenal. He explodes off the screen. He is lightning quick, much faster than Kenneth Walker. But Kenneth Walker right now is more of a Heisman candidate, in my opinion, than Blake Corum. I just don't think
100%.
I don't think it's even close, but we do have to head to break. Kennedy, tell us what's next.
When we come back, we're going to be talking about Justin Fields and him being named the starting QB for not week 4 anymore, but week 3. So we will see lots of him coming up this weekend. Stick around for that. But before we go, we need to hear about our friends over at Coast.
All right, listen, if you need anything, lights, knives, any utensils, you go to Coast. Because since 1919, I mean, they've pursued only one mission, and it's to make the working professional's job safer and life easier. Coast lights are a favorite amongst tradesmen and women, outdoor enthusiasts, first responders, and more. You go camping, you bring your Coast light. You go camping, you bring your Coast knife. It does not matter. Visit coastportland.com and use code WSN20 for 20% off your purchase because they stand by their products, and they back them up with a lifetime warranty. Sign up with our Coast crew to take advantage of special discounts, early access to new products, and again, that 20% off code is WSN20.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. All right, it's an exciting day. I haven't mentioned yet that Red Wings training camp starts today. Lots of interesting things happening regarding our friend Tyler Bertuzzi. We won't get into that today. We've got to talk about Justin Fields, but people in the chat, I see you. I know, and I know you know I know, so it's fine. But Justin Fields named the starting quarterback. He will be starting this weekend against the Browns. He was supposed to take his first start against the Lions, but it's been pushed up a week. So you guys tell me what your season expectations are for the Bears now that he's starting.
Well, in terms of the Chicago Bears as a team, it sets them back in terms of having an NFL, quarterback ready to play. It's going to take some time for Justin Fields. He didn't start. I mean, he had 2 pass attempts for 10 yards week 1. They let him air it out a little bit week 2. He threw an interception. There's still things he needs to learn. I mean, all these rookie quarterbacks across the board, it's going to take some time. I mean, you want Justin Fields to get some NFL snaps under him. Hopefully be the Bears starter by next year. Justin Fields has a higher ceiling than Andy Dalton. I mean, that's not a debate to me. But the debate is, what do the Chicago Bears look like now that Justin Fields is starting? And to be fair, it's a small sample size, but we're yet to be determined. I can tell you what Justin Fields can do. He can come out against the Browns, show you're the guy. And I'm not saying he has to beat the Browns. I'm not saying that. It's very unlikely. But you play a solid football game, and you show you have the poise to be a starter. Because Andy Dalton's played the last 2 games have not impressed anybody. I think it's more about Justin Fields just really learning the game. Because it's not about quarterback play. Andy Dalton hasn't showed much. So I like this move. I like Justin. I mean, I understand Andy Dalton's dealing with an injury. When he gets back, Justin Fields may go to backup again, but I don't care. I like Justin Fields starting in Chicago. I think you only can learn, as a quarterback when you play. I mean, you can sit on the sideline and try and process plays and try to understand things, but the only experience, you'll get the most experience by playing NFL snaps, and I love it. But on the flip side, though, debuted against the Cleveland Browns, we might see some poor play, and you don't want to rock his psyche. It's a big moment for Justin Fields. It is a measuring stick to see how ready he is to be a starter in the NFL. You got one of the top 5, according to me and Adam, teams in the NFL, and you're starting against him as your debut game. And next week they got the Lions at home, I believe. So if you do good against the Browns, hopefully, hey, you move into next week against the Lions at home. That's ideal. If you need to start him for a stretch of games, this might be the time. So we went back and forth early in the season. You shouldn't start him against the Los Angeles Rams. Well, he's starting against the Cleveland Browns. I understand they got Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney. It's a different defensive front, but nonetheless, he's going to be under some stress. So, but he is versing Baker Mayfield, so he could very well outplay Baker Mayfield. Considering them 2 as quarterbacks. But I like the move. I think it's good for Justin. The only way he'll get experience is if he starts games. So
whether or not
see.
You believe Justin Fields is going to work in the NFL, there's one thing you can't deny that Justin Fields has that no Ohio State quarterback has ever walked into the NFL with, and that is his high character intangibles. Justin Fields scored the highest character and IQ scores in the NFL draft prior to the NFL draft during the Combine. Justin Fields is actually more so on the character leadership level of like a Lamar Jackson, if I had to compare him to somebody. Mm-hmm. This guy will command the attention of the locker room. Now, whether or not he's going to be a great quarterback, we'll see. But I do caution all the Justin Fields haters. The same way we are giving Trevor Lawrence, who, again, is not surrounded by the greatest team, Zach Wilson, who I think was taken way too high, but regardless, he's not surrounded by the greatest team. Before you judge Justin Fields over this next, 6, 8, 10-week stretch, we'll see if they play him for the rest of the season. We don't know. Keep in mind, he is working with Allen Robinson. He has a meh offensive line. David Montgomery is nice. The defense has some pieces. I like Khalil Mack. They have a nice young safety, but it's an aging defense. He's not working with a Kansas City type roster, a San Francisco type roster. So my expectations of Justin Fields, if I was evaluating, like, hey man, I want you to be the future quarterback here for my team, this is all I'm asking from you. Don't beat yourself. Don't put us in situations where we're easily beaten. Make the other teams beat us. Make them work for it. Let's not give away cheap field position. Let's not turn the ball over. Let's make good decisions on third down. If it's not there, throw it away. We'll punt, and we'll get back. That's what you want to see from all your rookie quarterbacks, not just Justin Fields. It just so happens his first game is against a very good Cleveland Browns team. This is a tricky matchup. I think the Browns win actually easily. But I will say, to all the people that are just... tongue twister. To all the people that are judging and really doubting Justin Fields, I do remind you, I'll take the high character quarterback over the one with all the talent in the world. I just will. Keep in mind, I can give you multiple examples. High character, but limited or not the greatest talent coming out of college. Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott. Now, Lamar Jackson is a little different. He came with all the dynamic running intangibles, but you questioned him as a thrower of the football, and you didn't know if he was going to be a leader or not. It turns out his character is no joke. If there's one thing you can't question about either the any of the quarterbacks I just gave you, is their leadership and character intangibles. And I believe Justin Fields will fall into that category eventually. Whether or not he's a great quarterback, I don't know. But the Bears did something that the Bears have never done, and that's gone out and gotten a quarterback that can actually lead and garner the respect of the locker room. Rex Grossman kind of really never did, but the defense was so respected at the time that it kind of made everything work. Jay Cutler really wasn't respected. Mitchell Trubisky, nope. I bet you any money they were trying to kill him in practice so he wouldn't play on the game day. So I'm a fan of Justin Fields. I'm a fan of his character. We'll see how he does. I don't think the Bears are a playoff team. What are they now right now? They're 1-1, correct?
Yep.
So they probably lose to Cleveland. They probably beat Detroit. They're 2-2. They have the whole season ahead of them. We'll see how Fields plays. If he brings a new ability to this offense that Andy Dalton, we both agree he's a better quarterback than Andy Dalton, but if he's able to bring something different that makes them more dynamic and more consistent, well, this may be a 9-win football team. It may be an 8-9 win football team, and we don't know if that's a playoff spot in the first year of a 17-game schedule, but we'll find out. And I don't think Matt Nagy is a fraud. I don't think he's Matt Patricia. I think he's an idiot for benching Mitchell Trubisky early on last year. I think that was a big mistake. It probably divided the locker room, considering you were 2-3-0. And he's made boneheaded mistakes, but keep in mind he does have a winning record with Mitchell Trubisky. So he's kind of more on the Kyle Shanahan spectrum. A guy that, if he just gets an okay play from his quarterback, he'll win you football games. And that's impressive. He's not asking for an elite quarterback. He just wants a functional quarterback, and he'll win you football games. And he'll win you playoff games. So, no, please don't put Matt Nagy in the Matt Patricia conversation. I think that's very irresponsible, Jeff.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's two different conversations. And your point about Justin Fields being a leader, I agree. And I think the pre-draft process, a lot of people, that was his knock. How can Justin Fields lead, especially at Ohio State? And I was like, completely disagree. People at Ohio State rallied behind him. You saw the Clemson game, him getting completely rocked, getting back in the game, his toughness. So I think him going to the Chicago Bears, perfect situation for him. He's got a team that has been looking for a quarterback like Justin Fields, and what an opportunity. You know, Andy Dalton has been playing poorly. He gets injured. You don't want to see a player get injured, but I mean, it's kind of like you were saying, the Taylor Decker situation with Panay. You can go back to the Tyrod Taylor incident with Justin Herbert. Some things happen for a reason. Andy Dalton might be out. Justin Fields may come in and play the lights out, and that's what you want. Not as a Detroit Lions fan, but as a Bears fan or just a fan in general of Justin Fields. You want him to play well and hopefully keep the job. So I think it's a great game for him to start the Cleveland Browns, see how he does against one of the top 5 teams in the NFL. It's a good measuring stick. So I think he'll play. I don't think he'll play bad. I have faith in Justin Fields. Hopefully he keeps the job.
All right, expectations for the Bears. Do you think it's a 7, 8, 9 win team, or does he take them over that, or does he go under if he plays the remainder of the year?
I had him at 8, 9 wins to start the season. I still feel the same. Okay. I think they can go 8, 9. If they go 9 and 8, so what? But 8 to 9 wins is where I'm keeping that.
Again, I think they have an aging defense. They really need to retool on defense. They need to get younger, faster, quick.
Yep.
And they probably need a more dynamic offensive line and wide receiver. Allen Robinson is great, but he can't do it alone. So We'll have to wait and see. Kennedy, what do we got next?
What do we have next? We have which 0-2 NFL teams will make the playoffs or can make the playoffs. We can't say they will. You know what I mean? But, you guys, is Justin Fields going to be the first Ohio State quarterback to not be a flop in the
Yeah, I think so.
And you know why, though?
I'm so excited. I'm
Because
ready.
he came from Georgia. All right, he didn't go to Ohio State and
stop
commit.
it,
He
Jeff.
transferred, and that's
To
why
be fair,
he'll work
Joe
out.
Burrow transferred from Ohio State to LSU. To Jeff's point. There's something to
Adam's
that.
sticking up for me.
There's something to that. But, again, I'm going to fall back on the very simple common sense test. He has super high character intangibles.
All right.
He has all the makeup of a leader. And I can fix his arm. I can fix accuracy. I can fix decision-making with time. I can't fix who you are as a person. I can never change you. And Justin Fields, for me, out of all the quarterbacks, has the most leadership qualities. And that's something you can't sleep on.
Yeah. Well, I like it. I like it a lot. So, all right, stick around. We'll talk about which 0-2 NFL teams can make the playoffs when we come back. But first, Jeff has to tell us about our friends over at Papa Romano's.
Well, listen, I'm Italian. I absolutely love pizza, and one of my favorite pizza places is Papa Romano's. I mean, they have handcraft pizzas that have made them a Detroit favorite for over 50 years. 50 years. House-made dough, hand-cut veggies, and fresh cheese make the difference. The same quality goes onto all their pizzas, salads, subs, and pitas. You order right now, paparomanos.com. Go get you a pizza.
Tony is a third-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust-resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning in to the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. Happy to have you here. All right, so there are the Colts, Vikings, Lions, Jets, Jags, Giants, and Falcons who are all 0-2 heading into week 3. So which of these teams do you think can still make the playoffs, Jeff?
The only two teams that I had to really decide between are the Colts and the Vikings. And let me tell you why it's not the Vikings, it's the Colts. The only team I really believe that can make the playoffs would be the Colts if Carson Wentz can stay healthy. We know he has the 2 rolled ankles, which is just absurd. I mean, the guy, even if he comes back, you don't know how long he will stay healthy. And the Colts looked good against the Rams. They lost to a good team in Seattle the first week. But other than that, I mean, none. Lions, not this year. The Vikings have a tough schedule coming up after already being 0-2. Very unlikely. The Jets, you've seen how Zach Wilson's been playing with that roster. No. The Jaguars, I mean, I don't have to speak anymore. No. The Giants, no. And the Falcons, no. So all these franchises, besides the Vikings, aren't really ready to compete yet. The Vikings are trying to win, but their defense is giving up the most points in football. And the Vikings have a tough schedule coming up. They face a Seahawks team at home who is trying to get a win after last game. And then they got the Cleveland Browns at home the very next game. They could very possibly go 0-4, if not 1-3. So if I had to pick a team, it's the Colts if Carson Wentz is healthy. That's the only thing. It's tough to say that. There's an asterisk by it if Carson Wentz can stay healthy. But besides that, Adam, I want to hear your opinion. I don't see any other teams making the playoffs.
All right, so let me read the list, right? You have the Colts 0-2, the Vikings, the Lions, the Jets, the Jags, the Giants, and the Falcons, right? So we're going to both agree on the Colts. I think that's a very easy I think that's the easy answer given they have the most talent of all the teams on that list, and they're in the AFC South. I don't think Tennessee is as good as Tennessee has been the last few years, so I'm going to side with Indianapolis probably being able to bounce back and make the playoffs. But I can't believe I'm saying this. Keep in mind, I want this team's GM fired because how stupid and moronic I think he is and how much I dislike their quarterback. But I'm going to say the New York Giants. I like pieces on their defense. I like pieces on their offense. Although Daniel Jones makes me want to rip my hair apart, they are playing in the NFC East. I don't know what I'm getting week to week from Dallas. They look like world beaters against the Tampa Bay Bucks. They go and beat the Chargers. For all I know, they're going to show up Monday night against Philly and score 0 points. For all I know. I don't know what I'm getting from Dallas. I don't know if this is the 13-3 version of Dallas, consistent, dominant football team, or if it's just the Dallas Cowboys we've been accustomed to for the last 25 years. I don't know that yet. And because I don't know that, I have Washington, Philly, both inconsistent. Both, I'm not too in love with their quarterback situation. I'm not in love with the Giants either. If I had to pick between the three whose situation I like the most, I would say Philly, just because Jalen Hurts is playing at a level I didn't expect going into the year. But regardless, I like Joe Judge more than I like Ron Rivera and more than I like the head coach in Philly. And I'm going to side with the Giants. Out of all these teams, I think the Giants are most likely between the 7 to make it outside of the Colts. I don't think the Lions have a chance. The Vikings break my heart. They're what are they? 1-1, right? Or 0-2?
0-2.
They're 0-2. Tough losses. They should have beat Arizona.
Yep.
I want to say Minnesota can bounce back. They're so dynamic on offense. They're able to get pressure on the quarterback. That's going to cause problems. They sacked Kyler Murray 5 times. They sacked Joe Burrow 5 times. That is no joke. That is a good defensive front. DeAndre Hunter is back. He had 3 sacks against Kyler Murray. Keep in mind, Kyler Murray is one of the most mobile quarterbacks in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I could make the argument for Minnesota. I just don't trust Kirk Cousins. And how has he played at the best level he's played at in years, and they're 0-2? What happens when he turns back into regular Joe Schmo Kirk Cousins?
And a tough schedule.
They could be an 8-9 win team. They very well could be. They play the Lions twice. They play the Bears twice. There's potentially 3 to 4 wins. But do I think they make it? I don't. I say they finish second in the division, but maybe that's with 8 wins. I don't know. I want to say Vikings too, but Kirk Cousins makes me want to pull my hair out. I say the Giants just because of their division. I don't think the Jags you can take seriously. It's their first-year rookie quarterback. Falcons, first-year rookie head coach. Although I do think the Falcons have something. It's going to be a lot to overcome year one for a rookie head coach. I don't think Matt Ryan can get you to one more playoff game where he's going to win it for you. I think that story is long gone, especially ever since Kyle Shanahan left. The Jets, Robert Saleh, he has already improved that defense night and day. If his quarterback can just stop throwing interceptions, this team may have a chance to win football games this year. But they're a roster that's void of talent. But hey, you bring in a coach who's very X and O driven on defense, the defense improves overnight. Overnight. What do you know? And then you have who? Let's see. The Lions. The Lions aren't making the playoffs this year. They're in a rebuild. They have probably the second or probably the worst roster in the NFL. You can't make the playoffs with that. You don't have the quarterback to overcome that. Only quarterbacks like an Andrew Luck, a Patrick Mahomes, a Deshaun Watson can kind of do that. Jared Goff definitely isn't one of those guys. So to move forward, we've got a few minutes before we have to jump out of here. So I kind of want to segue, since we're talking about these 0-2 NFL teams. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about head coaches of these teams, right? So I look at Dan Campbell, and you guys can tell me I'm harsh on Dan Campbell, or that I'm too mean to him, or that I'm looking too much into his pressers and his conferences, or whatever it may be. Well, again, the question I asked yesterday was a very simple one. Name a first-time head coach. A first-time head coach with no experience at a coordinator role, no experience outside of an interim head coach in Miami. Name me a first-time head coach with that kind of character, with 0 X's and O's, or not 0, but like he didn't come in with, he wasn't a McVay, a Kyle Shanahan, a Brandon Staley, a Matt LaFleur, a Robert Saleh, somebody who's coming in, an Andy Reid, a guy that walks in with, he is good at this, and he has potential to be a very good head coach. That is where my mind has been circling the last 2 days. I have the answer. It's nobody. It's never been done. And who are the Lions to set that precedent? They've been losing for 60 years. They're going to trailblaze and make it work with Dan Campbell? I hope it works. But you really want me to really sit here and tell you with a straight face that I'm not concerned about it? What are we doing? This is the precedent you're setting. I've seen it. Rod Marinelli, Jim Schwartz. Oh, we need a locker room guy. Jim Caldwell. We need a locker room culture change. Jim Schwartz. I've seen it. Jim Schwartz is a very good defensive coordinator, at least. He was a tight ends coach and an assistant coach. Sean McVay was the OC under Jay Gruden for 2 years. Jim Harbaugh came in with a prestigious college coaching career before San Francisco. He took over a 6-10 football team, took him to the NFC Championship game his first year, Super Bowl the next year, NFC Championship game the third year. John Harbaugh, you may say. John Harbaugh put in 27 years of assistant and coordinating coaching before taking the job in Baltimore. Took that 6-10 football team, took him to the AFC Championship game, and then a Super Bowl years later. Don't you sit up here and try to throw names. Pete Carroll, again, prestigious collegiate career. Walks in from USC. He does have the machismo, the charisma, everything you tell me Dan Campbell has, except he's been coaching for 45 years. Walks in, wins 7 games with Matt Hasselbeck, wins 7 games with whatever his name was the second year. Falls under Russell Wilson. They turn into world beaters and the defense all clicks. It works out. Now, can that happen with Dan Campbell? Believe me, I hope so. And I think Brad Holmes is the perfect guy at the moment to reshape this roster. Now, whether or not Dan Campbell is the guy to take them from 7-8 wins to 12-13 and Super Bowl appearances, NFC Championship appearances, division titles, playoff wins, before we talk about all of that, we need to see year 2. Year 1, I'm not going to judge Dan Campbell on wins and losses. Ideally, I want to see 7-8 next year. I think that's more than enough time to turn the team around. Why does every team get to turn it around in a year or 2, but we have to be patient in Detroit? Jeff, please, just help me out here.
Your question was why? What was the question?
Why? Okay, first, I kind of debunked all the answers that I was given yesterday. The Andy Reid, the Pete Carrolls, the John Harbaugh, the Jim Harbaugh, all these No. They weren't first-time head coaches walking in with this rambunctious attitude and character. They came in with actual credentials outside of being assistants. I'm talking coordinating experience. Rex Ryan, you say, comes from one of the greatest coaching tree lineages in the history of the NFL. He's a very good defensive coordinator, and he walked in his first 2 years AFC Championship games. Please stop this with me. But Jeff, my question to you is, why is it so unfair of me to ask, why can teams turn it around in 1 to 2 years with just as bad of a roster, and it's not okay for the Detroit Lions to? Can somebody give me that answer?
Well, it's different. Like a lot of teams.
Why is it different?
It's different. The Detroit Lions right now, talent-wise, aren't there. Like this team, I don't know what coach in the world could come in and change this defense and make them stop teams. It won't happen. The Dan Campbell, the only thing I talked about was yesterday. I understand your point. It is odd. Like, okay, Dan Campbell doesn't have coordinator experience. He was an assistant coach in New Orleans for 5 years under Sean Payton. That is NFL experience, but I get your point. The coordinator role. Mike Vrabel was a defensive coordinator for a year for the Houston Texans. He comes to the Tennessee Titans and he's saying you can cut my you-know-what off for a Super Bowl in a press conference. So coaches do things like this. Dan Campbell, on the other hand, I get there is a high amount of the antics, but again, you can't judge a man off 2 games into his coaching career. That's the problem, because we can mutually say we can't take the Lions, as seriously this year. They're not going to be a very good football team. But then on the flip side, say, well, his antics aren't working out for him because they're losing football games. You're countering yourself. Like, give him at least a year or 2. Maybe even next year.
I'm going to give him 3 years.
Okay.
I'm not just going to give him a year or 2. Believe me.
So the antics shouldn't be affecting anyone's opinion of him as a coach right now.
They're not affecting my opinion of him as a head coach. I am simply asking questions that I think are very fair. And the problem is, you are taking my questions and thinking I'm indicting or judging Dan Campbell. I am not. Believe me.
So your question is, name a first-time head coach who has done these types of antics. That's your question. Like, you need a first-time head coach that has done things like that.
Yes, big picture here. Again, do I want Dan Campbell to succeed? Yes. This is a precedent I've never seen. I've never seen this work in the NFL. Somebody find it for me, please. And don't tell me these coaches that walked in with actual prestige and they were known for something. Dan Campbell is not known for his X's and O's. He's not an offensive genius. He's not a defensive genius.
He's known for his leadership.
He's a great leader.
Yes.
Can I give him a compliment? He's a great leader. Amazing character. Great for the culture.
He knows football, too.
Is that going to translate? That's all I'm asking. And I don't think it translates year 1. Obviously, the roster is bad. They could lose all 17 games, and I will sit up here and defend Dan Campbell. The roster isn't good. You move on to year 2, you have a whole offseason to improve your players and bring in the new ones.
Yeah.
You better win 6, 7, 8, 9 games next year. Probably 6 to 8, I'll be comfortable. I'll be like, all right, you're heading in the right direction, Dan. Year 3, I want to see 9 to 11 wins, and I want to see you kind of in the division race. And if you're kind of there and you just, you're just missing that one piece, okay, I'll give you the 4th year. And if you deliver the division, you're my head coach. You're everything that you were supposed to be. And if you don't, you aren't what you're supposed to be. I'm sorry. I saw Caldwell walk in, win 11 games, go 7-9, 9-7, 9-7, and this entire city throw a parade for it. Why? I still don't know to this day. I still don't know. Still 0 division titles, still 0 playoff wins. And here we are. And I can't question a head coach. How does that make sense to anybody? How? I am not judging him. I'm asking very simple questions that you want to get offended by because he is such a good guy. I love his persona.
Right.
It is great.
Right.
I'm rooting hard for him. It's hard not to root for Dan Campbell, let's be honest. But have you seen it happen? No. And that's the answer.
But in terms of the Detroit Lions, this is what we're talking about here. The Detroit Lions. I get it's an unheard of precedent for coaches to be doing stuff like this. But if you look at the Detroit Lions, Matt Patricia, you could say what you want about him treating players. He was the ultimate Bill Belichick wannabe in terms of how he talked to the media, his seriousness. He didn't make a lot of jokes. There was little to no fun at all during training camp.
Stop saying Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan was an accomplished, well-respected defensive coordinator coming from Baltimore. His family tree history, his dad was one of the greatest defensive coordinators of all time. He is one of the best defensive coordinators ever to grace the NFL. Are you kidding me, guys? Can we stop this? You know the answer, you won't admit it. And that's just the truth. That's the problem here.
Let me finish my point, because this is the point I'm trying to make with the Detroit Lions. You've went through the Matt Patricia era, and I understand, yes, he treated his players like complete garbage, but we can agree on this. How he treated the media was how your ideal coach would talk to the media. Like, yes, he was not your nicest guy, but he was serious. He was cutthroat, down to business. It's Matt Patricia. He's trying to be a Belichick wannabe. It didn't work out for him. Wasn't able to win games. I don't have a problem with Dan Campbell using different tech. His antics aren't going to affect. Do you think his team cares about what he's doing?
I'm sorry, Jeff. I really don't mean to cut you off. Bruce Arians, people. Bruce Arians was an offensive coordinator for multiple NFL teams. He was well respected. He is an offensive guru. He made Jameis Winston look actually decent outside of the LASIK 35 interceptions he threw. Are we serious? Look what he did in Arizona. The guy... I can't with these people. I can't.
Jeff, finish your point, please.
That is my point. Like, I don't care about all these comparisons people are making. You shouldn't either. Like, you have just explained why they're wrong. But the main thing you should be looking at is what has worked in Detroit in the past. You could say Jim Caldwell was a great guy, not a very good head coach. They won 11 games. They went to the playoffs. With Matt Patricia, your typical coach you want in terms of how he acts in general, very serious. Yes, he treated his players horribly, but why do we have a problem with Dan Campbell just being himself, trying to bring some light into an organization that has been in the dirt? So I don't have a problem with the antics. We have to give him at least, in 2 years, if we're still bad and he's doing it, we can have a conversation. But right now, could care less.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you there, Jeff. I personally enjoy his antics. It gives fans, I think, something to like about the team when they're pretty unlikable right now. So I personally don't have a problem with it at all. I quite like the guy. So I hope it all works out for him. Coming up next, we're gonna keep talking Lions, but we're gonna lay off DC for a while, so don't worry, fans. But before we go, we need to hear about our friends over at Guardian Alarm.
Well, listen, we're talking about atrocious defenses. The Lions have an atrocious defense, but you know what helps? It's Guardian Alarm. They get it. A good defense on and off the field helps you feel secure. Guardian Alarm has a state-of-the-art technology that helps you feel safe, all with 24/7 local monitoring. Guardian Alarm also has convenient features that let you check in on your home when you're away. They control lights, control temperatures, detect smoke or carbon monoxide. It will even let you lock and unlock doors. Call 800-STAY-OUT today. That's 800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm has been trusted for over 90 years at keeping families safe.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10 and a half months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
Hire a graduate of
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network, featured on the Roar at 93.5 FM, 99.1 FM, and 94.7 HD2. Happy Thursday, everybody. All right. So after week 2, the Lions are sitting at number 31 in the NFL Power Rankings. We're not seeing much movement in the ranks. I think rightfully so. But I want to know from you guys, are the Lions this bad? Should we be at 31, Jeff?
Well, especially on the defensive side of the ball, they're this bad. I mean, they're on track to give up the most points in football, and the offense hasn't been as glamorous either. I mean, you saw the 49ers game make that rally in the fourth quarter, but nonetheless, I mean, the offense has looked meh the last 2 games. Yes, you can blame the wide receiver core lacking, but other than that, the defense is completely atrocious. But you have a couple solid pieces you can build with on the offensive side of the ball. You have Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift, you have T.J. Hockenson, you have this offensive line. Those are the positives of it. You can even call Amon-Ra St. Brown one of them if he starts playing well. But pieces that are expected to prove on a year-to-year basis. That's the point. You got the youngest team in the NFL. Hopefully every year they're making strides and getting better. That's the goal for the Detroit Lions. But specifically this year, the Detroit Lions, I mean, they're the worst team, or one of the worst teams, in the NFL. The Jets and the Lions are pretty much tied for youngest team in the NFL. So they're both building. They're in a rebuild process. And what else would we expect? To have a team this lacking of talent and young guys, and we're all of a sudden a top 15 roster? No, absolutely not. I don't have a problem with the ranking. And hopefully over the next couple of years, you see the Lions slowly climb the list, just little by little. Get to the 20s, get to the teens. The more players we draft when we attack free agency, that's the change you want to see at the Detroit Lions. But if I'm talking about the ranking this year, I don't have a problem with it because they're 0-2. They've given up 30 plus, 40 plus in one game, in both the games. Defensively awful. Offense hasn't shown much. So yeah, you can't really argue it. I don't have a problem with it. Adam?
Yeah, I mean, again, if you're going to read these power rankings and you're going to get offended that Detroit is 31, lighten up a little bit. They probably are the 30th, 31st best team in the league. They just are. They're not very good. We all accept that. We're all not going to overreact to it. They can lose the next 8 games, and I'll sit up here and say, well, this is what I expected. Let's move forward. This team needs the whole offseason, probably another one to really revamp the roster. But hey, they've got a ton of draft capital this offseason. That's something to look forward to. The cap space is what, 3rd or 4th highest in the NFL available. It's good. You can make a few moves, not a ton, but a few. And if you look at it, you have the 4th hardest schedule based on win totals this year. If you're going to judge the Detroit Lions on their win total this year, you will be sadly disappointed. You'll be very disappointed. I do think they're one of the worst teams in the NFL. I think they have one of the worst rosters. There's a few. If you're Brad Holmes, it's unacceptable that none of your defensive players that you've drafted in this previous draft are playing right now. You need them to play. You need to figure out if you have something. The A.J. Parker's undrafted free agent. You have your defensive linemen, your Derek Barnes. You need these kids not to play to improve only. You need them to play so you can make the future decision of, am I going to address this position this year, next year, or do I not even need to because this kid is so good and he has that potential? Mm-hmm. That is what the Lions are figuring out year 1. Year 2, they're going to have a much better roster around them, and I can promise you that the offense will be so much better next year that it'll probably carry them to 6, 7, 8 wins, I think at least. And the defense ideally improves from what the dumpster fire it is now. Okay, moving past that. Year 3, Adam. Year 3, you've had 3 draft classes, 3 free agency periods. It's time to start competing. There's no more beating around the bush. And I'm being very generous on giving the 3 years, but I'm also being very understanding of how bad of a job Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia did during their time here. Again, I'm willing to give the 3 years. But if I ask a simple question of why do teams turn it around in a year or 2, why is it too much to ask for the Lions? Again, they are the Lions, so maybe that's a good answer back at me, but Again, they should be the 31st best NFL team, or however you want to call it. They should be sitting there for most of the season, and I don't expect them to change. I think them and the Jaguars are probably loaded with the worst roster. They're kind of very similar, except the Lions have a much, much better offensive line. Both are horrendous on defense, although Jacksonville has a few nice pieces. And then you look at the wide receiver position. Jacksonville's kind of loaded. Detroit, not so much, but Detroit's got the running backs. But Etienne, James Robinson, Etienne, he's gone all year. Next year, you'll have a two-back combination that could be very dynamic. It's all on the offensive line. If the Jags had the Lions' offensive line, I think the Jags could compete for their divisions with a rookie quarterback. I really do think so. But that's what they got to work on. Let's not worry about them too much. Jeff, Lions sitting at 31. What do you think their peak is this year for the remainder of the schedule? What's the highest they can go to?
With this defense, man, it's hard. It's very hard because you're grading them as an overall roster. I think the ceiling would be somewhere in the high 20s. I think that would be my assessment because they're going to be bottom of the league in terms of record. I had them at 6 wins, 5 wins, whatever the case may be. They're going to be, top 5, 6 worst teams in the NFL, if not lower than that. So I think the high 20s would be a suitable ceiling for them. But it's tough. Next year, hopefully we can climb to the early 20s, and then we can climb to the teens. That's what you want. That's what you want to see in a franchise, and especially in the rebuild we're in. But to answer the question, Adam, I think they can go from 31 to 26, 7, 8, whatever the case may be. I mean, what are we arguing at that point? I mean,
we're not arguing much. I mean,
if you're moving up 3-4 spots, it is what it is. It's still a bad football
ceiling
team.
isn't very high. We'll see how it translates over the year, but let's preview their schedule a little bit. The next 3 games at least, right? You're home to Baltimore, you're away to Chicago, and I want to say Minnesota away.
Yeah, Minnesota. At
Minnesota. Okay, cool. So you have these next 3 games where you're going to have a Derek Barnes playing. You're going to have A.J. Parker lined up against Adam Thielen, Allen Robinson, Justin Jefferson. You're going to have him lined up against Marquise Brown or Sammy Watkins. So you're going to see your secondary be tested. Now you look at the defensive front. How are they going to put pressure on a Lamar Jackson? How are they going to handle the RPO? How are they going to put pressure on a mobile quarterback like a Justin Fields? Kirk Cousins, are they going to take advantage of his historically pathetic turnover proneness? And if they can, good. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of what you're looking at from the Lions. If they're 0-6 in 3 weeks, well, 0-5 I should say. But if they're 0-5 after Minnesota, there's probably still 31st or 32nd. If they're 1-4. They're probably 31st or 30th. That's not going to change dramatically. The roster just isn't it. I want to see the coaching staff improve the team. We've seen them come out look really bad the first 2 games. They looked good in the first half against Green Bay because everything went according to plan. Nothing ever goes according to plan. I try to encourage you to watch the NFL. In the NFL, in war, and in life, nothing ever goes according to plan. Having said that, you needed that to score the 17 points. And what happened when things kind of started getting uncomfortable? You got punched in the face a few times. You were put in tough situations. Well, you put up a donut. And then you put up basically a donut for the entire game and committed horrible turnovers against San Francisco. And then you score 16 points on prevent defense in the final 2 minutes. And now the Lions are back, baby. 10-win train is on. This is what we got to get away from in this city. We really do. Support the team. By all means, support them. But don't put these expectations on them that roster with that head coach and that coaching staff, all in their first year, are somehow going to make you competitive. They're just not. Ideally, year 2, they show you improvements. They win 6, 7, 8 games. I hate to keep repeating myself. And then you get to year 3, and it's like, all right, Green Bay, we're not scared of you. We don't need everything to go right to beat you. All right, Chicago, we're going to beat you both times. Minnesota, we're a threat to beat you both times. That's what you want to see by year 3. Jeff, what's your development plan for this team? What do you need to see for the rest of the year for you to walk away happy? It's
nothing to do with the record. I think that's what people get twisted. You got guys saying, we're going to win 8 games. That's how we improve. You win. No. There's smaller stuff, especially with this team. You need individual players. Jeff Okudah, he went down. It's very sad to say. Hopefully, if he gets back before the end of the season, but you want to see Penei Sewell keep playing well, keep playing extremely well. You want to see guys like Levi Uzurike, Aleem McNeil. Those guys pick up their pace of play and get improved at least throughout the season. You see this pass rush, be pretty good. And then the rest is just seeing, it's all the young guys. I mean, it's everybody. It's the Derek Barneses. It's everything. It's all these guys getting better. That's the only thing. Individual improvement. Because when you come to the draft in 2022, you're going to add more guys to this group. Hopefully, they do the exact same thing. So what I'm looking for is individual talent improving. That's what you should be looking for. I mean, like I just stated earlier, the Lions are the youngest team in the NFL. What is the best thing for young teams? It's to improve every single year, get better. It's nothing to do with winning 8 games. It's just these guys got to make the jump. They got to. That's the only way they're going to make improvements as a franchise. That's it.
That's all? Mm-hmm. Good job, boys. We're being so nice today. I really enjoy it. All right. So coming up next, we've got to talk about someone that we've all been wanting to see hit the field more, and that is Derek Barnes. He will be playing this Sunday. We'll get into it next, so make sure you stick around. But before we go, I'm sitting in one right now. They're beautiful. The ladies are lovely. Jeff, tell us about our friends at Lady Jane's.
Yes. Listen, if you guys need a haircut, stop what you're doing. Come to Lady Jane's. Let's be honest. We like simple stuff, specifically football 5 days a week, and we like things uncomplicated. And like Lady Jane's haircuts for men, you walk in, you sign in, and you sit down in the comfy chairs. You get to watch some TV. And before you know it, your hair's sitting in clean. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. You walk in any time of the week. And you do it because it's wicked awesome.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. With historically low interest rates and 5-star service, you could pay your mortgage off faster without increasing your monthly payment. Get started now at 248-308-5000 or chat with us online. Call hallfirst.com.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. All right, the football gods must have heard our complaints and our prayers because rookie linebacker Derek Barnes will be playing this Sunday against the Ravens. You guys, I want to know what your expectations are and how happy you are with this move. Let's start with you, Jeff.
Listen, I absolutely love it. It should have happened earlier. I'm actually ecstatic to see Derek Barnes in this game because if you're a Detroit Lions fan, you understand how bad this linebacker core has been. I mean, we got Jamie Collins from the Patriots to try and improve that area, and now we got our rookie inside linebacker getting on the field when the defense has been playing absolutely horribly. So it is a good thing. I don't see why he hasn't seen snaps any earlier, considering the pace this defense is on. Obviously on track to give up the most points in football. But he's played great football at Purdue. He played inside. He played outside linebacker. He's very versatile. He can guard tight ends. He can get after the quarterback, get sacks. He's just an animal. He's a tackling machine. He's everything you want in your linebacker. And they stole him out of the fourth round. So I love Derek Barnes. I think this is the game to get him in. You have Lamar Jackson, who's so dang elusive. Probably one of the most transcendent quarterback runners since Michael Vick. He is so unbelievably quick. It's hard to tackle him. He barely gets tackled. So, listen, I think Derek Barnes, this is the game to put him in, see how he measures up. Jamie Collins, obviously, we'll talk about that later, but he is on the block now. But I love it. You want to see, especially the young guys, getting as much reps. When Jeff Okudah got injured, and if he got on that field, he didn't look like a rookie, at least until he got burnt by Devontae Adams. But he was playing actually not bad. So that's what you want to see. You want to see guys that aren't playing get some playing time and see what they got, what they're made of. And I think Derek Barnes coming in versus Baltimore, it's a great test. It's a great test. And I think they're at home, if I'm correct, against the Baltimore Ravens. So it's a better game for him to start. And I love Derek Barnes. Hopefully throughout the season he stays in that spot. And we have a good inside linebacker for the future. But I love the move.
All right, let me start with this because I have to. It's in my DNA. I have to start with I told you so. I told you against Buffalo. I told you against Pittsburgh. I told you against Indianapolis. This should be one of your starting linebackers, and you should cut Jelani Tavai. What happened?
They cut him.
The Lions listened partly. They cut Tavai, but they never played Barnes, and here we are. After 2 games, they're ready to put in Barnes. Absolutely, Kennedy, absolutely. So here we are. And I think this is the perfect game to insert Barnes. Why? Baltimore leads the league in rushing. And what does that mean as a linebacker? Well, you're going to be asked to do your job much more often against a run-heavy team than a pass-heavy team. You wouldn't have wanted Barnes to play against Green Bay. Why? He would have gotten beaten as many times as how do you say his name? Alex
Anzalone.
Anzalone?
Yep.
Whatever. He would have gotten beaten as many times. And that's not a knock on him, but that's just not the quarterback you want to go against week one. Or your first game, sorry. You go against Lamar Jackson, you're going to have to understand RPOs. You're going to have to fill the gaps. You're going to have to fill the gaps that their offensive lines are making for their runners. And you got to make tackles. That is a great game for Derek Barnes to really showcase. I think he's going to look better than you think against Baltimore. And I think it's probably going to take a step back once he starts playing teams that can move the ball downfield, because he's going to have to drop back into zone. He's going to have to cover the running backs. We're going to see him sideline to sideline.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many things that I'm curious to learn about Derek Barnes, but what he showed in the preseason should have been enough for him to get the job. I understand wanting to put out your veterans and the guys that you trust early on in the season. But we're 2 weeks in. They're making the bold decision. I'm happy with it. They're considering trading Jamie Collins, which is something we'll talk about next. But I'm all for the Derek Barnes move. Kennedy, Derek Barnes, you got to give me something here.
What do you mean?
You got to tell me your level of excitement. Someone's got to be as excited as I am.
Oh,
I am in love with this kid.
You saw him in the preseason, the almost interception he had. That clip right there, better play than the linebackers have displayed this whole season. So there's your argument right there.
No, yeah, I'm totally with you here, Jeff. And I think it's just so important. Why, if we're this bad, especially these linebackers, holy heck.
Can't get much worse.
Why would you not play your rookie and better him and get him those reps than waste it on a veteran who's, at the end of their career, not getting much better? Let's get him out of here, trade him, put him on a plane like we did Jelani Tavai, and let's better this team. And I know that's what Dan Campbell and his coaching staff is doing, and that makes me excited. They're not settling for being mediocre or even piss poor, if you will, which is what we've been seeing. So I'm very excited. I hope this is the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg of us turning it all around, and I really think it is. I think the coaching staff is making a really good decision here. Anything, Jeff?
No, that's exactly my thoughts. I think Derek Barnes should have been in earlier. I don't get the whole expectations of I'm going to play my veterans. Because, listen, I like Alex Anzalone, I like Jamie Collins, but there's no reason why. You're the youngest team in the NFL. You're not expected to be very good. They might think otherwise, but, I mean, if you're in that franchise and you're knowledgeable at all, you're going to say, listen, play the young guys, get Derek Barnes as many reps as possible. Because like the Justin Fields argument, you don't get better by sitting on the sideline. You don't get better by practicing and not actually getting game reps. Derek Barnes needs to get in the game to get better. So if he can reach a ceiling, we think he will. It's a great decision. And I'm excited with you, Adam. I'm a little tired this morning.
Yeah, I'm all for it. We can call out Kennedy right now and have some fun. No, Spiro, Kennedy is not a Spartans fan. She somehow, some way, in this magical world we live in, she somehow supports Notre Dame and Ohio State. Somebody explain to me how that works. You're just like Maz. You support the Giants and you support the Jets.
Maz.
You're Maz's twin. You're Maz's twin. Accept it.
Fish doing the fist bump in the booth.
Fish don't.
Fish, am I wrong?
Friends.
Tell me I'm wrong, Fish.
I mean, I just call it reverse Maz.
Because
he doesn't like one state. She likes multiple states and multiple teams. Like Maz likes all New York teams and all Jersey teams. She likes all Midwest. So that's reverse Maz.
True.
Ohio State, Midwest. Notre Dame, Midwest. Florida, we'll call it Midwest. just bump it up 20 states.
Listen.
Midwest.
This isn't even. I don't even like all of Ohio though.
Michigan State,
Cavs,
Midwest.
Browns, I couldn't care less.
Toledo,
I think
Midwest.
The Browns look good, but I'm not a Browns fan all of a sudden. You guys.
Bowling Green, Midwest.
Please understand me when I tell you I have deep, deep family ties to these organizations.
How deep do they go?
That's why I root for them.
Deep,
it's not my fault that my family is all over the place when it comes to where they go to college. Okay.
But it's your choice in terms of who you pick. You can choose to like this team or this team or this team. I like two Indiana
teams out of a jillion. Butler University Bulldogs because I went there.
That's fine.
And the Notre Dame Fighting Irish because my grandpa is literally on the board there. What am I supposed to do? I've had season tickets since I was little. I'm sorry, I grew up with them.
What about
Shame
Ohio
me.
State? What about Ohio State?
Ohio State, my uncle went there.
Okay.
I moved to Toledo when I was in 2nd grade, and I grew up with Ohio State fans
Rockets.
everywhere. I mean, we were kind of fairly split between Michigan and Ohio State, but Michigan fans were always, sorry to say it, I'm gonna offend people, but they were always super annoying, in my humble opinion.
Good job, Kennedy.
So I picked Ohio State. And that's it. That's all there is to it.
What about Florida, the Gators?
Okay, here we go. My dad went to Bowling Green. We watched that awesome Maction together. We loved Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer then went to Florida, killed it there. I fell in love with Tim Tebow. Shame me again. It's fine. He then moved to Ohio State. And then guys can shame my dad, too. He's never even lived in Ohio, except for when he went to Bowling Green for college. And he follows Urban Meyer wherever he goes too.
So now you're a Jags fan, also.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I've been
she's
talking
a Jaguars
about this.
fan.
I'm not. I am. I've jumped to the Jags this season.
What's
You
your
guys
Super
are
Bowl
sleeping
prediction?
on them. Jags versus mine.
Jags Lions.
It's not gonna happen, but that would be the best thing
Whoa,
ever.
whoa! It
You think it's
could
gonna
and will happen.
Jags Lions Super Bowl. 2 0-2 teams right now.
12%. 12% of 0-2 teams made the
Adam's
playoffs.
so mad.
I wonder what the prop
they're
bet
gonna
is
make
on
the
that.
playoffs.
Should I
it's
put a
gonna
dollar
be
on it? Could you imagine if that hit?
I mean, you have nothing to lose but a dollar.
It's probably
I'm gonna
at
do
least $2 million.
I want to see Art's face if the Lions make the Super Bowl. I want to see his facial
This year?
expression. Yeah, Art Smith.
I mean, I think everybody would go absolutely
He's already
nuts.
got
This year,
that
this
tattoo on
year,
down.
I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. No, everyone would go absolutely nuts, but it's not going to happen.
He would die.
Not he would die. The entire fan base would be in riot.
Listen, I
it would be the
understand.
greatest thing you'd ever see.
I understand, but I think the amount of flack that we all gave Art, including you, about that prediction, just in 10-7 and playoff win.
But it's not going to happen. So
I
why
know it would
entertain
just be so funny.
Art's not even giving himself
I
hope
love Art.
anymore. He's already getting that tattoo ready.
If somebody tells me,
my-
Fish, I
just a
swear,
little.
if you were Art, tell me next season, in the off season, after the draft, after free agency, once camp starts, if you guys actually still want to tell me 10 wins next year, I won't hate you for it like I hate you this year for it.
Okay.
Why?
I'll still
It's
hate you.
a year of improvement. The coaching staff has a year under their belt together. The front office is going to be making moves, acquiring new draft picks, selecting players, getting players in free agency, making trades. The team will, ideally and logistically, it'll be better next year. So if you want to push to 10 wins, that's fine. I'm considering 6 to 8 next year. So if if they overachieve by 2, that's not unfathomable in the NFL. We've seen the Lions win 8 games in a 9-win season, all coming from fourth quarter comebacks. That just doesn't happen. You can't do that consistently, and you can't. I wouldn't be mad at it next year. Definitely not this year. Just stay away from me with that 10-7 crap. It's not going to happen this year.
Away from me.
Imagine your
10-7.
mentions if they were
But
successful this
they're
season.
not. I wish.
Your
But
mentions
it's
on
not going to
Twitter.
happen. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
Kennedy.
I'm hoping my mentions are safe after the rant I just went on. I apologize. But we have to go to break.
They're not.
So I'm waiting. All right. Next, we're going to talk about, another linebacker. Jamie Collins. He's out of here, we think. Fingers crossed. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. Stick around. But first, we have to hear about Adam's favorite people over at BetQL.
Guys, you got to sign up for BetQL. This is ridiculous at this point. 25-6 on the bets I've placed. Well, not I've placed, but bets that they've given me. That's their overall record. I am sitting here happy at 8-2 with my bets, but I could have been 25-6 if I just listened to the freaking thing. It is unbelievable. Guys, the data and analytics you have access to is unbelievable. It's a great app, super user-friendly. Use the code WSN and sign up today. I promise you it will be worth it. Sign up monthly. Try it for a month. That's all I'm asking. Try it for a month. Invest $200 over the month. Bet $10 a day. So you need $300. Bet $10 a day and use their data and pick like 10 games and just bet on them. Bet throughout the whole month. And you'll probably win 60-70%. And that $300 is going to turn into $450, $500. And that's how I win the money I win when I'm betting. Guys, again, BetQL gives you everything you need for anything you need for betting information. Please download it. And again, use code WSN.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Morning, Art. Morning, D-Mac.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. Happy to have you here. The rain looks like it's clearing up, but I think it's going to come back later, so that's a bummer. But anyway, it's Thursday, Friday Eve, so there's lots to be happy about. We've got Thursday night football tonight, but before we can get into that, the Lions are exploring some trade options for veteran linebacker Jamie Collins. I want to know, what should the Lions look to receive in exchange for him? Adam, let me know.
All right. Anything 6th round pick is fine. 7th is fine. I'm not gonna overreact. He's a veteran. You're not really gonna get much for him. Just trade him away for a 6th or 7th round pick. It's very simple. Give Derek Barnes the playing time he needs. Anzalone can keep playing. All these guys can keep playing. This is a year of development for the Detroit Lions. Why do the Detroit Pistons have the ability to take a full season, 82 games, to develop players, and we can't accept that for the Lions? This is a development year. Move on. They're not winning 10 games. And if you think they're winning 10 games, I strongly urge you to just stand on Woodward. And you can figure out the rest. But look, they're not winning 10 games. The Lions should explore trade options for Jamie Collins. I'm glad they are doing it. It's very, very much needed. Just take the draft capital. That's it for me, Jeff. Take the draft capital and walk away. You don't need anything from him. You don't.
I think this quote right here from Dan Campbell says a lot. He says, look, Jamie is a big linebacker. He's a very athletic linebacker. The way he moves is a little bit different. Now, does he play with the same effort or have the same effort as Alex Anzalone? No, I don't think so. I think Alex just plays at a high level all the time. That's him. That's how it goes. So I think, listen, as much as I love Jamie Collins, you saw him in last game. He had some bad plays. He was behind Aaron Jones most of the time. But when we signed Jamie Collins, I think it was 3 years for $30 million. We signed him from the New England Patriots. He had a great season, a couple seasons there. He could do it all. He could intercept balls, get after the quarterback. And we're like, all right, you could fix our linebacker core. Obviously, he's 32 years old. His play is decreasing on the field. You trade him right now, you get what you can. You get a 6th round pick, whatever the case may be, 5th round, 6th round, 7th round. You get assets and draft capital. Doesn't matter if it's this year, next year, the following year. You get rid of them and you open up, playing time for Derek Barnes. That's what you want, because it's pointless to keep this is like keeping Derrick Rose on the Pistons. Why are you keeping a Jamie Collins on the Lions to do what? I mean, get him out of here. Let the team get younger and develop the young guys. But listen, the coaching staff's well aware of the play Jamie Collins has put on the field. Linebacker core has been atrocious. So don't have a problem with the trade itself. I could see him going back to New England. I could see old Bill Belichick picking up the phone and saying, how much you want for Jamie Collins back? If it's a 6th round pick, whatever the case may be. I think Bill Belichick does that deal. I don't know too many teams that would be interested in a Jamie Collins, maybe a team that just needs a veteran linebacker, but wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots called up Dan Campbell and Mr. Brad Holmes, asked for Jamie Collins right back. But yeah, you get rid of him. I agree. There's no reason. I don't think anybody's saying keep him. If you are, you don't know how football works. He's an aging veteran who's making too much money. Get rid of him. Open up more playing time for Derek Barnes, because Derek Barnes at this moment, making less money, might give us almost, or if not more, than what Jamie Collins would give us. So you get rid of Jamie Collins, you bring in Derek Barnes. I love it. The question is, what team you think we would be able to deal him to?
I think Patriots are the obvious answer, but
yeah.
I saw Jacksonville in the chat. They have 4 6th-round picks, so I'm sure you can get one of those.
True.
I could care less where they trade him. Again, you're trading him so Barnes can play.
Yeah.
That's more important than the draft picks. You're trading him so Barnes can get the 50, 60 snaps a game. That's it. And that's, for me, is more than enough.
Mm-hmm.
That is more than enough. Outside of Jamie Collins, Jeff, who do you think the Lions leading into the trade deadline this season, Who should they consider trading outside of Jamie Collins? Should they consider a Trey Flowers? Is there anyone else on the roster you believe? Because I think they should consider trading Trey Flowers. They're not competing for anything. Go get a 4th-round pick for him. I mean, he's not worth it. But again, you have to take cap hits into consideration. But I'm just saying, players, you feel the Lions should make a move on or move off of before the trade deadline this season.
So I think the Trey Flowers argument is important because if you look at all the other players on the Detroit Lions in terms of salary per year, Trey Flowers is amongst the top. He's making over $20 million per season, which is honestly outrageous because Trey Flowers' his play on the field has been okay at best, but not worth what we're paying him. I think him and Vaitai, the big V, the right guard we have, Matt Patricia signed him from the the Philadelphia Eagles. He was a backup in Philly. Their O-line was so unhealthy that year. Vaitai was able to see some snaps. You saw a little bit of flashes, and Matt Patricia signed him to a big old bag. So I wouldn't be a problem if we traded Vaitai. He's making too much money, and we just found a right guard, or Trey Flowers, just because of the money and the position we're in, like you just stated, Adam. I think the position the Detroit Lions are right now, I don't think by the time we are relevant or trying to be relevant again, Trey Flowers is going to be way out of his prime, and he's making too much money. So I agree. It's Trey Flowers or Big V on the offensive line. Those are my 2 picks to get traded from Detroit.
So if the Lions trade Taylor Decker, who I think it's an option. You guys all know how I feel about this, but if they do decide to trade him, they're taking about $29 million in dead cap space. It's not ideal. They're taking a $4.9 million cap hit. Decker's going to be a tough one. Although again, if I'm just being honest, you can't afford to ruin Penei Sewell, and that's the only reason why Decker's even in this situation. I don't think Penei Sewell will ever work out at right tackle. Look at the preseason. You can say, Adam, it was only 7, 8, 9, 10 bad snaps. You have 3, 4, 5 bad snaps a game as a lineman. You're toast. You can barely afford to have 1 bad snap as an offensive lineman. If you have 3, 4, or 5, you're out of the league in less than a year. Don't move him to right tackle. Hopefully Taylor Decker moves to right tackle, and we can all move past it. But yes, Trey Flowers should go. I don't see the value in having him. Again, you're going to be a losing team. Ensure that you're going to lose games. The Pistons did it, but we didn't have a problem with it. The Pistons gave away Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin, guys that late in the games were keeping the Pistons close and winning a few. And they're like, no, get out of here. We want to give ourselves the best chance to get a top pick. And lo and behold, they got the #1 overall pick and drafted Cade Cunningham. Funny how life works. Get rid of Trey Flowers. You're not going to win many games this year. Only idiots will be judging you on winning games this year. And move on. Build your roster, and ideally you're a competitive football team year 2. And by year 3, you're actually competing in your division and in the NFC. Congratulations. I just gave you the formula. It's actually not that hard. Every other NFL team seems to be able to do it. Pull it off. Pull it off. Trade Trey Flowers. Trade Jamie Collins. And move on. Kennedy?
I'm with you. I agree completely. All right, coming up, we've got Fish's Facts, which is the best part of the day, obviously. And we're going to talk about tonight's Thursday night football game. So stick around, but first we have to hear about the good people over at Levels.
All right, guys, I've been saying it for the last week and a half. 10% off when you mention Woodward Sports. It's free money. Visit Levels today, whether you're in the store or on the app. Just make sure you mention Woodward Sports and you'll get your 10% off. Everything from T Grizzlies Gas to D-Max Special Strain and edibles are all on sale now. Download the Enjoy Levels app today and start saving money and upgrading your cannabis experience. It's available on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store.
Would you like to win a custom-built chopper while helping our veterans at the same time?
Then watch as we turn this bike into a one-of-a-kind classic chopper.
Watch the Call Sam Chopper Shop on our social media channels and get your raffle ticket today at callsam.com/chopper shop.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Is it time?
Yeah, it is.
Fish!
Go fish. Fish facts.
It's fish!
Hello, everybody. We're back and ready to go and ready to have a very exciting day today because today is Thursday. Yesterday we had football on yesterday. Now, you guys didn't watch because you guys don't care. We had Canadian football yesterday, which is basically the NFL, just in a different country. Actually, for us, it's like a 10-minute drive. I can go right now, drive over to Canada because the border is open, by the way. They opened 1.5 months ago, so you can go to Canada and watch some CFL football. So exciting. Speaking of Canada and speaking of greatness, we did have greatness. We had a video that showed greatness yesterday from Canada. This is the Tiger Cats and the Red Blacks game from last night, and it was rainy. It looked like Michigan, basically. That is a 88-yard return for Jamil Rowley, who made his first interception of the season for them yesterday. They won, I believe, 24-7 yesterday, so they looked very well.
That's got to be the most frustrating thing for any quarterback. You drive all the way up the field, and you just throw it, a pick six, 80 yards. All that work down the drain. 7 on the other team.
Yeah, that sucks.
It's crazy.
But, hey, it happens.
It's the CFL, you know.
It's any football, really.
Yeah.
They had a 1 point too. The score was 1-0 going into the second quarter, I believe. Love
what?
CFL.
1-0?
You can get a 1-pointer called the Rouge. Go Canada. Speaking of Canada, we have no. It's beneficiary, so you kick into the end zone.
So how do you get 1 point? It's off a field goal. What do you? How does the 1 point get in there? How does it make sense?
If you kick it out of the end zone, it's 1 point. Just kick it out of the end zone. It's pretty simple.
Okay.
Or you tackle the guy in the end zone.
Oh, so it's like a safety or something like that, you know.
Oh, it award teams for bringing it out.
Yeah. All right.
So you're trying to kick it through the end zone, and anyways.
You see some weird scores over there, probably.
Yeah, occasionally. I mean, you got like a 14-11, which does happen in the NFL. There was a 17-11 on Sunday.
Yep.
Speaking of football, we will have football for you tomorrow, which we have 2 games tonight, by the way. We have the Texans and the Panthers, and then we have a college game, Appalachian State and Marshall. So if any of you want to watch some football or are not enjoying the Texans-Panthers game, you can go over to Appalachian State and Marshall. But we go to baseball today, where everyone loves Fernando Tatis Jr. He has hit 40 home runs this season, the 10th individual 40 home run season by a player at age 22 or younger. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has 46 home runs himself. This is the first season in MLB history where multiple players age 22 or younger have hit 40-plus home runs.
Dang. Yeah, Fernando, I would have loved to see him in the home run derby. I think he had an injury or something, but God, he's spectacular.
Not to mention that Shohei Ohtani also, I believe, has 45 as well. So
yeah, and he's also pitching. So
and he's pitching, which is very incredible to see. You don't see that anymore, and you probably will never see that again.
No.
Speaking of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who was on the last facts, he's on another one. Most home runs versus single opponent. And the Baltimore Orioles, for the past 10 years, it feels like, has been on every single stat that involves individuals on other teams.
Yeah.
He has 10 against the Orioles. That's within 16 games. Schwarber has 9-10 games. Judge, 9-17. And Joey Votto, 9-16 games.
Yeah, the Orioles are just absolutely awful this season in general, so I'm not surprised to see them, 2 out of the 4 up there in career.
They've been bad for, 2 out of 4. They've been bad for the past, 15 years, several years. But, hey, they're like the Lions. They'll get back up and maybe win a World Series.
I think the Lions are in a better position than the Orioles. I'll say that.
Well, they are now, but the Orioles could have a spell where they get players and make their way up.
They haven't won since, 1983?
It's been a very long time.
It's been a very long time.
Speaking of long time, it's a stat you don't see a lot. Javier Baez, 9 walks in his last 12 games, the most in any 12-game span of his career.
Dang, Javier, man, rocking that big old chain.
And he now plays on the New York Mets. He now plays on Maz's team. So...
One of Maz's teams, correction.
Well, yeah, one of Maz's teams. I mean, he likes every team except for the Rangers.
Yeah.
Hates the Rangers. Everyone else is fair play, which...
He'd root for the Tigers. He'd root for everything.
Well, he lives here, though. That's why he lives Tigers. But I don't understand that. I'm a Mets and a Yankees fan. That's like saying you're a Michigan and a Michigan State fan. You get punched for that.
You do. By you, Fish. You'll punch him.
not really, but possibly. We have birthdays today. Speaking of birthdays, today is the 23rd of September. Happy first full day of fall, by the way. It started yesterday in the afternoon. So hopefully you guys are ready for long sleeve shirts, sweaters, colder weather, football, and fun, I guess.
And basketball.
NBA
comes
and
back.
the holidays as well, which comes up later on in the year. We have a birthday today. It is not Jim Harbaugh, but it is his brother, John Harbaugh. It is his birthday today. Coach for the Baltimore Ravens. He went to a Super Bowl.
One hell of a coach. Won it with Joe Flacco.
He did win it with Joe Flacco.
Yeah. So, hey, kudos to John Harbaugh. I love him as a coach, man. Just his repertoire with Lamar Jackson. He's just a great guy. I love it.
Yeah, and his brother was coach for the 49ers. Then he moved to Michigan.
And they versed in the Super Bowl.
They did play each other in the Super Bowl, yeah.
Great Super Bowl.
Where the 49ers maybe should have won.
Yeah. Maybe. It's Kaepernick. Maybe would have got a ring. Maybe wouldn't have gotten a ring.
Could have, and then people went crazy because the lights went out. And where is the lights out? What do? Now the Caesars Superdome, by the way. They're cashing on that betting.
Yes, sir.
For the NFL. Speaking of greatness, Chris Johnson is also his birthday today. So happy birthday to Chris Johnson, the running back. We have baseball birthdays. This guy played for the Dodgers way back when the Dodgers were always good. Matt Kemp.
Matt Kemp.
You guys remember Matt Kemp?
I do remember Matt Kemp.
Remember Matt Kemp. Yeah, a long time ago. I think he's retired now.
Yeah.
You don't really see him playing baseball, but it is his birthday. Adam, give him good wishes, okay? Can we promise you? No? Okay, cool. We have a birthday who I know that you will slander, and I'm here for it today. This guy was on the Bucks, but before that he was on the Detroit Pistons. Good old Brandon Jennings. It is his birthday today, so wish him a happy birthday.
As much as
who cares about Brandon Jennings?
Thank you, Adam.
I hate Brandon Jennings.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna wish him happy birthday. Sorry, Fish.
Listen,
hey, can you just copy and paste your Twitter mentions and send them to him? Maybe he would appreciate. That's his birthday present. That's a good birthday present.
Brandon Jennings, I'm still not over the fact that he partied at the Bucks parade. He was like he won the chip with them. I don't get it. But
was he on the bench or he just didn't play at all?
Didn't play at all.
Cool. Well, I mean, he's still on the team. He gets the ring.
I don't think he was on the team at all. Like he wasn't a part of the organization. He just came out and was like, "Hey, I played for you guys one time, so let me attend this party." So I don't hate him, but come on, Brandon Jennings, come on.
But he played for the Pistons. He was miserable, so he wanted to celebrate somewhere where it's actually colder.
He did play for the Bucks a couple years ago, but never mind. That's a different conversation. Finish your facts, Fish.
Those are the facts. We'll be back for Friday, which the weekend's coming up. We have Friday night football. We have college football this weekend. Some big games this weekend. So we're going to enjoy them. And Notre Dame plays Wisconsin, by the way, in Chicago.
It's going to be a good game.
It will be a good game. So, Kennedy's probably going to be rooting for every single team in the Big Ten. I know those are your facts. I'm done.
All right. Well, while we're on the topic of football, we've got football tonight. The Carolina Panthers take on the Houston Texans at 8:20. So, guys, what are your expectations for this game?
I expect a low-scoring game, actually. I think Carolina comes out on top. I think they improve to 3-0. Houston, down Tyrod Taylor. They're going to be starting Mims at quarterback. I don't think they have enough in it, although I think the Houston defense will cause enough problems to keep it close. I have the Panthers winning 23-17. Terrence Marshall Jr. scores his first NFL touchdown tonight. Those are my expectations for tonight's game.
Yeah, you know what? And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I like how Sam Darnold's playing. I love it. For the first time in his career, he can actually go 3-0 going into their next matchup against Dallas, against the Cowboys. So I like what Matt Rule's building. I love Joe Brady. I mean, we all know what he did with Joe Burrow at LSU, and then what he did to P.J. Walker last year when they beat the Lions, shut him completely out, beat us with a XFL quarterback. But nonetheless, the Panthers have a very young, extremely talented defense, and they added J.C. Horn. And with Tyrod Taylor being out, they have Davis Mills starting. He's in for a rude awakening with this defense. I mean, they're prone to get some turnovers. I got the Carolina Panthers getting it done 24-10. I think the Texans score 10 points. I don't see Davis Mills throwing more than a touchdown, if that. So, Christian McCaffrey has a big game, and that's not because I have him in fantasy, I promise.
Okay. You just lost all credibility.
Not because I haven't.
No,
fantasy.
Christian McCaffrey. I hope he stays healthy, man.
I know. I really
It's
do.
a shame. Missed all of most of last season. Came out, balled out week 1. He never came back. Never came back. And I was the idiot that passed on a trade for George Kittle.
Oh.
I know. Early on in the season for Christian McCaffrey while he was hurt. I thought he would come back. He came back for a game, I believe, and then he got put down for the rest of the year.
Put down like a dog.
It's unbelievable. Sometimes fantasy just treats you harsh, man.
Yep.
It just does. But Sam Darnold, I want to talk about Sam Darnold actually for a little bit. Because Sam Darnold, everybody pointed to him that Sam Darnold was the problem. Matthew Stafford was the problem. This guy was the problem. That guy was the problem. And nobody ever looks at, well, the organization you play for. What's easier? And this is a very simple question. Maybe you won't get confused by this, guys. Get ready for this one. Is it easier to be the franchise quarterback of the Detroit Lions or the Baltimore Ravens? Is it easier to be the franchise quarterback of the New York Jets or the Green Bay Packers? You follow me here? Sam Darnold gets out of New York and is playing the best football of his career 2 games in with a young head coach and Matt Rule, who's in his second year, who actually kind of gave you a glimpse last year that he didn't even need a starting quarterback or his star running back, and he was going to beat games. He shut the Detroit Lions out. Keep in mind, you with Matthew Stafford. They did win with the XFL quarterback.
PJ Walker. Yeah.
Let's not forget, I like Carolina a lot. I like what Sam Darnold is doing, and I'm really happy for him more than anything. Because when you're that kind of a prospect, like an Alex Smith, like a, help me out here, Jeff, Ryan Tannehill, guys that early on never fulfilled their potential or what you thought they were going to be, and they finally just got to the right organization who put their arm around them and said, we're going to make this work. We're going to build around you. And here we are. Sam Darnold, 2 games in, looks like a totally different person. I love it.
Yeah, and as much as the turnovers they talk about with Sam Darnold, doesn't have much turnovers. No interceptions on the season. So I love what I'm seeing out of Sam Darnold. And like I said, Joe Brady has a lot to do with that. He made PJ Walker look great. He can make Sam Darnold look great. I think he's got a lot of potential still in there. And Carolina, they're going to be fun to watch this year. That's for sure.
You guys, if you don't have your weekend planned out already, I will plan it for you. Here you go. I'm your little party planner. You're going to start off Friday night with our Friday Night Clash, okay? Where we broadcast one of the best games in the Metro Detroit area on Woodward Sports, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Obviously, you can come join us in person. This week's matchup is Belleville at Dearborn Fordson at 9 p.m. Our stream will be going live for that, but the game starts at game time, at high school football game time. All right, and then this weekend, we have our live broadcast for the Lions. So let me tell you about the pregame show, which I am on. So you guys come hang out with me, join Woodward Sports DraftKings, Jose Cuervo, and Riff for the Lions pregame show with Braylon Edwards, Ryan Armani, Maz, and Jade from Riff. That will be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. live from Tin Roof. It will also be streamed from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter for the Sunday game against the Ravens. Also, we have a great prize for you guys, so make sure you come out. This Sunday, you can win a signed Calvin Johnson Megatron frame, and you must be following Woodward Sports on all social medias, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to win. Special thanks to John at Pro Sports Zone for this signed sports memorabilia. So make sure you check him out as well. And then if you're bored after the game / during the game, you can join Woodward Sports and Jim Beam, yum, at the Brass Rail downtown, starting live at the 2-minute warning of every Lions game with Stick and Anson. The Lions postgame show will be covering all of the highlights and the fan reactions. So make sure you head out to Brass Rail in downtown Detroit and do that for every Lions home and away game. So, make sure you come hang out with the VIP in the VIP area for Woodward Sports fans with some pizza and more. The official post-game show for Detroit football is at Brass Rail, so you can go hang out with your old buddy Stick there. All right, you guys, that is all from us today. This has been Woodward Sports.